not there for these sessions. So I think this is the third session in a row when we are not having his association. Krishna's grace, he has been engaged in a lot of other services these days. There are some higher responsibilities which has come upon him. So he's not able to join us for the CC sessions, but very soon he would be back with us. So, but he's all fit and fine by all your prayers and blessings. So thank you so much. So let us begin our Chaitanya Charitamrta session. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapad Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Krupa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. All glories to Lord Chaitanya, all glories to Lord Nityananda, all glories to Advaita Chandra, and all glories to all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya. So here we are in Madhya Lila, chapter 17. The Lord travels to Vrindavan. And Krishna willing, Gauranga willing, most likely today we will enter in Vrindavan along with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we have been seeing Lord's effort. So right from the beginning of Madhya Lila, that was one thing which Mahaprabhu wants to do, is to go to Vrindavan. So finally today he will arrive at Vrindavan. So we have completed till verse number 157. Today we would get into the first section, Lord Chaitanya's interaction with Sanodia Brahman, and second section from verse 190 to 234, Lord Chaitanya visits holy Vrindavan. Bolo Vrindavan Dham ki jai. So verse number 158 to 189. Ek vipra pade prabhur charan dhariya Prabhu sange nritya kore prema vishtahana. One Brahmana fell at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and then began to dance with him in ecstatic love. So Mahaprabhu was traveling and here he meets this one Brahmana. Dunhe prem nritya kori kore kola kuli Hare Krishna kaha dunhe bole bahu tuli. The two of them danced in ecstatic love and embraced each other. Raising their arms, they said, chant the holy names of Hari and Krishna. So here Mahaprabhu has met such a Brahman after a very, very long time, because we remember he was traveling into Jharikanda and then he was in Varanasi and Mahaprabhu said that there is no taker. So I have come here to distribute love of Godhead, but there is no taker. So finally Mahaprabhu is meeting this Brahman who is in equal ecstasy. Like with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is just raising hands and Hari Hari Hare Krishna, he is chanting. Loka Hari Hari bole kola hala hoila Keshav sevak Prabhu ke mala paraila. All the people then began to chant Hari Hari, and there was a great uproar. The priest in Lord Keshava's service offered Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu a garland. Loke kahe Prabhu dekhi ho na vismaya aiche he na prema lauki kakabhu naya. When the people saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's dancing and chanting, they were struck with wonder, and they all said, such transcendental love is never an ordinary thing. So they were amazed. They were struck with wonder at is described here, because they have never experienced such a thing, that somebody who's mad in ecstasy, mad in the transcendental love of Krishna. Yahara darshane loke preme mattahana hase kande nache gaya Krishna namalana. The people said, simply by seeing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, everyone is maddened with love of Krishna. Indeed, everyone is laughing, crying, dancing, chanting and taking the holy name of Krishna, Krishna. Sarvatha nishchita iho Krishna avatar Mathura aila loker korite nistara. Certainly, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in all respect the incarnation of Lord Krishna. Now he has come to Mathura to deliver everyone. So actually the devotees were very happy and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very happy. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very happy because he has entered Mathura, and the devotees were very happy because they could see, just by seeing the conduct of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how he was dancing and distributing this love of Godhead, they could actually very easily come to this conclusion that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is an incarnation of Lord Krishna. तबे महाप्रभु से ब्राह्मण लाना ताहारे पुछिला किछु निभृते वसिया. After this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took that Brahmana aside. Sitting in a solitary place, the Lord began to question him. Arya sarala tumi vridha brahmana Kaha hoite paile tumi ei premadhana. So you are a Vridha Brahman, you are an elderly Brahman, and you are sincere and you are advanced in spiritual life. So Mahaprabhu is very curious and he is asking this question, where from have you gotten this transcendental opulence of ecstatic love for Krishna? How are you experiencing so much ecstasy? Mahaprabhu, see, so far people were getting amazed seeing Mahaprabhu. This is the time when Mahaprabhu is amazed because this Brahman was exhibiting such ecstatic symptoms. So Mahaprabhu is asking, from where have you got this? Vipra kahe Shri Pada Shri Madhavendra Puri Bhromite Bhromite Aila Mathura Nagari. So I'm sure we all remember the context of Madhavendra Puri as how he found those Gopal deities. So, and he is also the spiritual master of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So now this Brahman is telling, His Holiness Srila Madhavendra Puri came to the city of Mathura while he was on tour. कृपा करिते हो मोरा नीलये आईला, मोरे शिष्य करी मोरा हाथे भिक्खा कैला. While at Mathura, Sripad Raghavendra Puri visited my house and accepted me as a disciple. He even took lunch at my home. So now by that relationship, actually this Brahman, he is the god brother of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's spiritual master. So just now Mahaprabhu has realized that, oh, this is a disciple of Srila Madhavendra Puri. Gopala prakata kari seva koila mahashaya, adhyapiha tanra seva govardhane hoya. After installing the deity of Gopal, Sri Madhavendra Puri rendered him service. That very deity is still being worshipped at Govardhan Hill. So he's giving that reference to that Gopal deity, which we remember that how Madhavendra Puri, he saw that boy Gopal, and then he saw in the dream, and the Gopal deity indicated that where is he, and then he gathered the entire village, and with them they excavated and found the deity, and he establishes the deity, and then the deity asks him for Chandan, and Madhavendra Puri travels all the way. So this is that Gopal deity which we are discussing now. So this Brahmana is giving the reference that that Gopal deity is still worshipped at Govardhan Hill. Shuni Prabhu Koila Tanra Charan Vandana, Bhaya Pana Prabhu Paya Padila Brahmana. As soon as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard about Madhavendra Puri's relationship with the Brahman, he immediately offered obeisances at his feet. Becoming fearful, the Brahman also immediately fell at the Lord's feet. So now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has realized that this Brahman is the god brother of his spiritual master. So actually he is at the level of his spiritual master. So thinking of that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in complete humility, he offered obeisances to this Brahman. And Brahman, because Brahmana did not know this relation, but Brahman knew that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a sannyasi. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a Brahman, and more than that, he is a sannyasi also. So a sannyasi is offering him obeisances. So he got scared, and then he fell back and offered obeisances to Lord's feet. Prabhu kahe tumi guru ami shishya praya, guru hana shishya namaskarana yuyaya. You are on the platform of my spiritual master, and I am your disciple. Since you are my spiritual master, it is not befitting that you offer me obeisances. So Mahaprabhu told like that. Shuniya vismita vipra kohe bhaya pana, aiche bata kaha kene sannyasi hana. Upon hearing this, the Brahmana became afraid. He then said, why do you speak like this? You are a sannyasi. So actually 500 years ago, people were very respectful of this sannyas ashram. Those people who had taken sannyas, they were very respectful of him. So he is asking that why you are talking like this? You are a sannyasi. How can I be your guru? Kintu tomar prema dekhi mone anumani, Madhavendra Puri rasam bandhadhara jani. Upon seeing your ecstatic love, I can just imagine that you must have some relationship with Madhavendra Puri. This is my understanding. Krishna prema taha yaha tahara sambandha, taha vina ei premar kaha nahi gandha. This kind of ecstatic love can be experienced only when one has a relationship with Madhavendra Puri. Without him, even a scent of such transcendental ecstatic love is impossible. So Mahaprabhu knew, and the Brahmana also knew. Actually, we all also know now, after reading Chaitanya Charitamrta, after understanding it through the purports of Srila Prabhupada, that how Madhavendra Puri was the first person who introduced this ecstatic love of Krishna, who established that how worship of Sri Sri Radha Krishna is the topmost. So here they are discussing that how without Madhavendra Puri's connection, without knowing Madhavendra Puri, no one can know this ecstatic love. Tabe Bhattacharya tare sambandh kohila, shuni anandita vipra nachite lagila, Balbhadra Bhattacharya then explained the relationship between Madhavendra Puri and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. After hearing this, the Brahmana became very pleased and began to dance. So he was so happy that he started dancing, knowing that how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also directly connected to Madhavendra Puri. तबे विप्र प्रभु रेलाना आइला निज घरे आपन इच्छाया प्रभुर नाना सेवा करे. The Brahmana then took Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to his home and out of his own free will began to serve the Lord in various ways. भिक्षा लागि भट्टाचार्य कराइला रंदना तबे Mahaprabhu hasi Lila-17. He asked Balbhadra Bhattacharya to cook Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lunch. At that time, the Lord, smiling, spoke as follows. So now here we can read that this particular Brahmana, he is a Sanodia Brahman. So this caste of Brahman, I mean in Brahmans also there were certain levels. I mean the levels are there now also, but people don't understand the intricacies. Even, I mean in current context, the Brahmanas, they hardly behave like a Brahmana. But at that time, so in the Brahmanas also there were certain levels. And this particular Brahmana, the Sanodia Brahmana, they were actually the advisors for the business class people. And so that is why they were not considered very high class Brahmanas. And generally the sannyasis, the staunch sannyasis, they would not eat food cooked by Sanodia Brahmana also, because they consider that they are quite, low on the scale. So that is why, understanding that, Sanodia Brahman on his own, he requested Balabhadra Bhattacharya that why don't you cook for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because I am not qualified, I am not eligible to cook for him. Puri gosai tomar ghore karyache na bhikha more tumi bhikha deha ei mora shikha. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Madhavendra Puri has already taken lunch at your place. Therefore, you may cook and give me the food. That is my instruction. Ei mora shikha. This is my instruction that you cook for me. Why? Because my guru's guru has eaten food cooked by you. So what is how can I not take? How can I reject? Yad yad acharati shreshthas tad tad evetaro janaha sayat pramanam kurute lokas tad anuvartate. So I hope we remember this verse from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, where Krishna is telling that whatever action a great man performs, common men follow. Yad yad acharati. Acharati means conduct or behavior. Shreshthas. Shreshthas are the great people. Tad tad evetaro janaha. All that is followed by janaha or common people. And whatever standards he set by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. So Mahaprabhu is giving that reference and he is telling that Yad yad acharati shreshthas. So Shreshtha is Madhavendra Puri and he has taken food at your home cooked by you. So I am just a follower. I am evetaro janaha. So I'll just follow in that and I'll take prasadam what you cook and give me. Yadyapi Sanodia hoya seitil Brahmana Sanodia ghore sannyasi na kare bhojana. The Brahman belonged to the Sanodia Brahman community and a sannyasi does not accept food from such a Brahman. Tathapi puri dekhi tan Vaishnava achara Shishya kori tan rabhika koila angikara. Although the Brahman belonged to the Sanodia community, Srila Madhavendra Puri had seen that he behaved like a Vaishnava and had therefore accepted him as his disciple. The food he had cooked had also been accepted by Madhavendra Puri. So now Madhavendra Puri, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all the followers in their lines, we do not discriminate on the basis of caste. We do not discriminate on the basis of external bodies. Like Srila Prabhupada is the best example for that. He did not discriminate anyone. Whoever was interested, whoever showed a little interest, Srila Prabhupada gave him everything. So why? Because yad yad acharati shrestha. So we are learning from Madhavendra Puri that Madhavendra Puri did not make any distinction. He accepted this Brahmana. Why? Because this Brahmana behaved like a Vaishnava. So it is more important that how is our achar, how are we conducting ourselves, and this movement is not based on the caste movement. So that is what he has accepted, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also accepted. And so did Srila Prabhupada. Mahaprabhu tanre yodi bhikha magila, dainya kori sei vipra kohite lagila. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu willingly requested food from the Brahmana, and the Brahmana, feeling natural humanity, began to speak as follows. तुम्हारे भिखा दीबा भड़ भाग्य से आमारा, तुमी ईश्वर नाही तोमार विधि व्यवहारा. It is a great fortune for me to offer you food. You are the Supreme Lord, and being in the transcendental position, you are not restricted in any way. So not only did this person, this Sanodia Brahman, could understand that he is connected to Madhavendra Puri, he was also convinced beyond a doubt that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Lord himself. So he is extremely happy, and he is saying that it is my great fortune that I can offer you food, and there are no restrictions on you, because who can restrict you? You are the Supreme Lord. मूर्ख लोक खोरी बेका तोमार निंदना, सहिते न पारी मुसे दुष्ट ravachana. Two words are used in this verse. First is murkh and second is dusht. So murkh is foolish people and dusht is those rascals, those mischievous people. So what he has mentioned here, foolish people will blaspheme you, but I shall not tolerate the words of such mischievous people. So those people who do not believe in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they are termed here as murkh and dusht. So they are murkh because they are not accepting this form of the Lord, and they are dusht because they are blaspheming the Supreme Lord. So he is telling, the Sanodia Brahman is telling, I will not tolerate such people. Prabhu kahe shruti smriti yata rishi gana, sabe ek mata nahe bhinna bhinna dharma. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, the Vedas, Puranas, and great learned sages are not always in agreement with one another. Consequently, there are different religious principles. So now we need to understand, this is a little serious philosophical discussion which has started between them. So Sanodia Brahmana was very upset that people were not accepting Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling that sometimes people read the Vedic literature, people read Puranas, and then people read the commentaries of great sages also. But then sometimes we see that they are not always aligned with each other. There are differences. So the differences is not in the essence, the difference may be there in the detail. So how it is mentioned, the detail may vary and different people hold to those details without understanding the essence, and that is why they get into some sort of disagreement. So that is more of our problem, because if we are not sincere in understanding the essence, then we may get bewildered. For example, if we see Bhagavad Gita itself, so it talks about Karma Yoga, it talks about Jnana Yoga, it talks about Ashtanga Yoga, and it also talks about Bhakti Yoga. Now, I may just read one verse like Karmane Vadhikaraste. I may read that verse and I may conclude that the essence of Bhagavad Gita is Karma Yoga, perform Karma Yoga. And I just close my book after completing the first 3 chapters. I say, okay, so Karma Yoga, that's it. I don't even go into the other chapters. I don't read chapters 7 to 12 to understand that 6 chapters Krishna has dedicated for Bhakti Yoga and how Bhakti is supreme. So you see, so the same book others may read and they may reach at different conclusions. Dharma sthapan hetu sadhura vyavhara, puri gosaira ye acharane se dharma sara. A devotee's behavior establishes the true purpose of religious principles. The behavior of Madhavendra Puri Goswami is the essence of such religious principles. So Srila Prabhupada has given a very elaborate purport for this verse, because we need to understand that how important and how significant is the devotee's behavior. In fact, at one place, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also has mentioned that Vaishnav etiquettes, they are the decorations of the body of a Vaishnava or a devotee. So basically, to what degree I am following Vaishnav etiquettes, to that degree, I attract the attention of the Supreme Lord. So being a Vaishnava is not enough. We have to conduct ourselves. So born in a Vaishnava family, okay, we get a favorable environment. But more important than that is how much essence we are gathering, and that should get reflected in our own behavior, as in how we interact with others, how is our dealings. That is very, very important. Tarko pratishtha shrutayo vibhinna nasa vrisharyasya matam na bhinnam dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhayam mahajano yena gatah sapantha. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, dry arguments are inconclusive. A great personality whose opinion does not differ from others is not considered a great sage. So actually those people who do these dry arguments means debating on the scripture, so their result is inconclusive, and they are considered, very well established if their opinion differs from others. So if they all have same opinion, then it is believed amongst themselves, they believe that, okay, so there is some problem because you don't have your own point of view. So that is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is highlighting there. Simply by studying the Vedas, which are variegated. Variegated means there is variety. So there is Karma Kanda section, there is Gyan Kanda section in the Vedas, there is Upasana Kanda section in the Vedas. For different people, different options are given. So that is why Mahaprabhu is saying Vedas which are variegated, one cannot come to the right path by which religious principles are understood. The solid truth of religious principles is hidden in the heart of an unadulterated, self-realized person. Consequently, as the Shastras confirm, one should accept whatever progressive path the Mahajanas advocate. So Mahajanas basically refer to the pure devotees of the Lord. So if I read on my own strength, if I read, forget about Vedas, if I read just the Bhagavad Gita on my own strength, I may end up reaching at a different conclusion. If I am reading some Upanishad, let's say Ishopanishad, on my own strength, I may conclude something different. So that is why Bhakti Vedanta purports are so very important, because Srila Prabhupada is explaining us the essence. He is giving us the way how we are expected to understand the Vedas. So that is why it is mentioned here that one should accept whatever progressive path means path on spiritual progress, the Mahajanas or the unadulterated self-realized devotees of the Lord advocate. तबे से विप्र प्रभु के भीखा करैला माधोपुर लोक सभा प्रभु के देखिता आइला. After this discussion, the Brahmana served lunch to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then all the people residing in Mathura came to see the Lord. Laksha Sankhya Loka aise nahi ke ganana Bahirhana Prabhu Dila Darshana. Laksha Sankhya, hundreds and thousands of people had come. Nahi ka ganana, nobody could count them. Ganana is not possible. Ginti hi bhul gaye. Bahirhana Prabhu Dila Darshana. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came out of the house, because in the house, you remember once Mahaprabhu was at a particular place and how people crowded so much that the boundary walls fell off. So here Mahaprabhu came out because hundreds and thousands of people had come to have his darshan. Bahutuli bole Prabhu Hari bola dhvani Prema matta nache loka Kori Hari dhvani. When the people assembled, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu raised his arms and said very loudly, Hari bol! The people responded to the Lord and became ecstatic. As if mad, they began to dance and vibrate the transcendental sound. Hari, 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 Hari. And now we will enter into the next section where Lord Chaitanya visits Vrindavan. So he is already in Mathura and he'll enter Shri Dham Vrindavan. Yamunar 24 घाटे प्रभु कोइला स्नान से विप्र प्रभु के देखाय तीर्थ स्थान. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bathed in the 24 ghats along the banks of the Yamuna, and the Brahmana showed him all the places of pilgrimage. Swayambhu Vishram Dirgha Vishnu Bhuteshwara Mahavidya Gokarnadi Dekhila Vistara. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited all the holy places on the banks of the Yamuna, including Swayambhu, Vishram Ghat, Dirgha Vishnu, Bhuteshwar, Mahavidya and Gokarna. So these are the various places which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started visiting. And when we also go to Vrindavan, we try to visit most of the places which are there, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has visited. Vana dekhi bare yadi prabhur mana hoila Seite Brahmane Prabhu Sangete Laila. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to see the various forests of Vrindavan, he took the Brahmana with him. So Vrindavan, the name itself is composed of Vrinda and Van. Van means forest and Vrinda refers to Tulsi Devi. So actually this area of Vrindavan, it is divided into 12 forests. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to go to all these forests because Lord Shri Krishna has performed various pastimes in each of these forests. Madhuvan tala khumud bahulavan gela taha taha snan kori prema vishta hoila. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the different forests including Madhuvan, Talvan, Kumudavan and Bahulavan. Wherever he went, he took his bath with great ecstatic love. So actually there are different, many forests which are situated on the eastern side of Yamuna. So these are Bhadravan, Bilvavan, Lauhavan, Bhandirvan and Mahavan. So these 5 forests are situated on the eastern side. The other 7 forests are situated on the western sides of Yamuna like Madhuvan, Talvan, Kumudvan, Kamyavan, Khandirvan, Vrindavan and Bahulavan. So these forests are situated on the western side of Yamuna. Pathe gabhi ghata chare prabhu re dekhiya prabhu ke bedaya asi hunkar koriya. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu passed through Vrindavan, herds of grazing cows saw him pass and immediately surrounded him, began to moo very loudly. They see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the cows could understand that their master, their love of their life, their object of worship, Lord Shri Krishna has come there in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Gabhi dekhi stabdha prabhu premera tarange vatsalya gabhi prabhu chate sab ange. Seeing the herds approach him, the Lord was stunned with ecstatic love. The cows then began to lick his body out of great affection. So Mahaprabhu was stunned with this love of the cow. He is that original cowherd boy. So this cowherd boy is visiting his place after so many centuries, after a yuga. And so these cows, they are so affectionately, they are coming. The whole entire herd has come, surrounded Mahaprabhu, and they are licking him all over. Susthana Prabhu kore ang kandu yana Prabhu sanga chale nahi chade dhenu gana. Becoming pacified, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to caress the cows, and the cows, being unable to give up his company, went with him. Kashti shrishti dhenu saba rakhila goyala Prabhu kantha dhvani shuni aise mrega pala. It was only with great difficulty that the cowherd men were able to keep the cows back. So they were holding, they were dragging, they were pulling with the rope, and the cows were just with great, with force. They were moving towards Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So they held them with great difficulty. Then, when the Lord chanted, so what did Lord chant? Hari, Hari, Hari Bol. So when the Lord chanted, all the deer heard his sweet voice and approached him. Mriga mrigi mukha dekhi prabhu anga chate bhaya nahi kare sange, aya vate vate. When the does and bucks came and saw the Lord's face, they began to lick his body. Not being at all afraid of him, they accompanied him along the path. So generally these deer, they are always very fearful. And the moment they heard any sound, they just run away from there. But then it is mentioned here, mriga mrigi, the does and the bucks, they came and they were licking Mahaprabhu's body. And they were walking along with him. शुक पीक भृंग प्रभु रे देखी पंचम गाया शीखी गण नृत्य कौरी प्रभु आगे आया. Bumblebees and birds like the parrot and cuckoo all began to sing loudly on the fifth note, and the peacocks began to dance in front of the Lord. So while reading these verses, I can so very well imagine like when we are in Vrindavan, and especially when we are in a place like Ter Kadam or Vrindakund, and there are so many peacocks. We can see the peacocks, we can hear him. There are different types of birds, and suddenly we'll see, these 12 or 15 parrots flying together in one direction. Then there are these bumblebees buzzing. So like all this, it is Vrindavan. Everyone is very, very happy. Why? Because the Lord has come back to Vrindavan. प्रभु देखी वृंदावने वृक्षलता गणे अंकुर पुलक मधु अश्रुवर्षणे. Upon seeing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the trees and creepers of Vrindavan became jubilant. Their twigs stood up and they began to shed tears of ecstasy in the form of honey. So imagine, just like how when we are in ecstasy, so all the hair on our body stands up. So here there are the trees and the twigs are standing up, and instead of tears, the honey is coming out of them. So that is how. So actually there is a description also in Srimad Bhagavatam when Lord Shri Krishna enters the forest, and how all these creepers, they are falling down as if they are paying him obeisances, and they are welcoming him and they are very happy. So same description is here, that how the trees and creepers of Vrindavan became jubilant. फूल फल भरी डाल पड़े प्रभु पाया बंधु देखी बंधु ये ना भेटल नयाया. The tree branches and creepers overloaded with fruits and flowers fell down at the lotus feet of the Lord and greeted him with various presentations as if they were friends. So this is how the trees were welcoming Mahaprabhu. So Mahaprabhu was entering, and all the fruits and the flowers from the trees, they were falling on its own, tap, 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 tap. It was falling on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lotus feet because they were so happy to have the Lord of their life. Prabhu dekhi Vrindavan sthavar jangama anandita bandhu yena dekhe bandhu gana. Thus all the moving and non-moving living entities of Vrindavan became very jubilant to see the Lord. It was as if friends were made happy by seeing another friend. Tasabara priti dekhi prabhu bhava veshe sabasana krida kore hanatara varse. Seeing their affection, the Lord was moved by ecstatic love. He began to sport with them exactly as a friend sport with his friends. Thus he voluntarily came under the control of his friends. So when Krishna wants to reciprocate, who can be better than him? So here when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is seeing all these different moving and non-moving creatures expressing so much of joy and delight, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was also equally reciprocating with them. So he was also equally happy, and he was connecting with them at an altogether different spiritual level. Prativrikshalata Prabhu Korena Alingana Pushpadi Dhyane Koren Krishna Samarpana. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to embrace each and every tree and creeper, and they began to offer their fruits and flowers as if in meditation. So next time when you are going to Vrindavan, do not forget to embrace the trees and the creepers there in Vrindavan, because all these trees and creepers have been embraced by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we can also experience Mahaprabhu in the trees and creepers as well. Ashrukam papulak preme sharira asthire Krishna Bala, Bale Uchesware. The Lord's body was restless, and tears, trembling and jubilation were manifest. He said very loudly, Krishna Bala, chant Krishna, chant Krishna. Sthavara Jangama Mili, Kore Krishna Dhvani, Prabhura Gambhira Sware, Yena Pratidhvani. All moving and non-moving creatures then began to vibrate the transcendental sound of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, as if they were echoing the deep sound of Chaitanya Mahāprabhu. Mrigirgaladhara Prabhu Kore Narodane, Mrigera Pulaka Ange Ashrunayane. The Lord then clasped the neck of the deer and began to cry. There was jubilation manifest in the bodies of the deer, and tears were in their eyes. Vrikshadale Shukashari Dila Darshana, Taha Dekhi Prabhur Kichu Shunite Hailmana. When a male and a female parrot appeared on the branches of a tree, the Lord saw them and wanted to hear them speak. So there are two parrots, one male parrot and one female parrot. Actually, it is mentioned that the male parrot belongs to Krishna and female parrot to Srimati Radharani. So they were talking, they were speaking something, and Mahaprabhu wanted to hear them. Shukasharika Prabhu Hata Udi Pade, Prabhu ke Shunana Krishner Guna Shloka Pade. Both parrots flew onto the hand of the Lord. So, hand of the Lord, both parrots came and sat and began to chant the transcendental qualities of Krishna, and the Lord listened to them. The male parrot sang, the glorification of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is beneficial to everyone in the universe. His beauty is victorious over the gopis of Vrindavan, and it subdues their patience. His pastimes astound the goddess of fortune, and his bodily strength turns Govardhan Hill into a small toy, like a ball. His spotless qualities are unlimited, and his behavior satisfies everyone. Lord Krishna is attractive to everyone. Oh, may our Lord maintain the whole universe. So if it was not mentioned that the male parrot sang, we wouldn't have believed. We would have thought that some great devotee is actually speaking these words. So how he is glorifying various aspects of the Supreme Lord, about how because of his beauty, those damsels of Vrindavan, those gopis, they lose their patience, they lose their control because they get so attracted. Krishna's beauty is described as it is victorious. So what does it win? It wins the heart of the gopis of Vrindavan. And then the pastimes, what he has performed here, even Lakshmi Devi can't believe that, oh, this is happening. And then Govardhan, it actually became like a ball. Here it is mentioned like a small toy. How? Because a child, when he is playing, and he may pick up his ball and he throw up and down. So similarly, Govardhan Hill, Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill like how a small boy lifts his toy. So that is how the male parrot is described. Shukamukhe shuni tabe Krishne Ravarnana, Sharika padaye tabe Radhika Varnana. After hearing this description of Lord Krishna from the male parrot, the female parrot began to recite a description of Srimati Radharani. Shri Radhikaya Priyati Surupata, Shri Radhikaya Priyata Surupata, Sushilata Nartangan Chaturi, Gunali Sampat Kavita Charajate, Jagan Mano Mohan Chitta Mohini. The female parrot said, Srimati Radharani's affection, her exquisite beauty and good behavior, her artistic dancing and chanting, and her poetic compositions are all so attractive that they attract the mind of Krishna, who attracts the mind of everyone in the universe. So the female parrot, she is telling that your Krishna is all attractive. He attracts the mind of everyone. But his mind gets attracted to Srimati Radharani because she's so beautiful. She has such a gentle demeanor. She has this artistic abilities of dancing and chanting. She composes beautiful songs. So all these things in totality, it attracts the mind of Krishna. Puna shuka kohe Krishna madana mohana tobe ar shloka shuka korila pathana. Krishna is the enchanter of the mind of Cupid. He then began to recite another verse. Vamshidhari jagannari chittahari sasharike vihari gopanarir bhir jiyan madana mohanaha. My dear Shari, Sri Krishna carries a flute and enchants the heart of all women throughout the universe. He is specifically the enjoyer of the beautiful gopis, and he is the enchanter of Cupid also. Let him be glorified. So all the gopis, he attracts the heart of all the gopis actually. Not only gopis, everyone in the universe. And that is why he is, let us glorify him. He is very glorious. Punashari kahe shuke kari parihasa taha shuni prabhur hoila vismay premolasa. Then the female parrot began to speak jokingly to the male parrot, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was struck with wonderful ecstatic love to hear her speak. Shuka shari odi punah gela vriksha dale mayurera nritya prabhu dekhe kutuhale. Both parrots then flew onto a tree branch, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to watch the dancing of the peacocks with curiosity. So the parrots of Vrindavan are so amazing that they are talking, they are reciting the glories of Shri Shri Radha and Krishna. So they recited this for Mahaprabhu's pleasure, and then they flew, and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started looking at those peacocks. Mayurera kantha dekhi Prabhu Krishna smriti hoila prema veshe Mahaprabhu bhumite padila. When the Lord saw the bluish neck, so the neck of the peacock, it reminded him of Krishna, because the complexion of Krishna is like that, blackish blue. So his remembrance of Krishna immediately awakened, and he fell to the ground in ecstatic love. Prabhure murchita dekhi seita brahmana bhattacharya sange kori prabhur santarpana. When the Brahmana saw that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was unconscious, he and Balbhadra Bhattacharya took care of him. Aste vyaste Mahaprabhur lana bahir vasa jala seka kore ange vastrera vatasa. They hastily sprinkled water over the Lord's body. Then they took up his outer cloth and began to fan him with it. So Mahaprabhu, actually, it is not that he has fainted because of weakness or he is having some disease or something. No, it's an ecstasy that he is completely out of the body now. So they are trying to bring him back. Prabhu karne Krishna naam kohe uch kori chetan pana Prabhu yana gada gadi. They then began to chant the holy name of Krishna into the Lord's ear. When the Lord regained consciousness, he began rolling on the ground. Kantaka durgama vane angakshata hoila bhattacharya khole kori prabhur sustha koila. When the Lord rolled on the ground, sharp thorn injured his body. Taking him on his lap, Balbhadra Bhattacharya pacified him. So he was feeling such deep spiritual emotions of Srimati Radharani, of separation from Krishna, that he started rolling on the ground. And then Balbhadra Bhattacharya is pacifying him. Krishna veshe prabhur preme gara gara mana bol bol kari uthi kare nartana. The mind of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wandered in ecstatic love of Krishna. He immediately stood up and said, chant, chant. Then he himself began to chant. Bhattacharya se vipra Krishna nama gaya nachite nachite pothe prabhu choli aya. Being thus ordered by the Lord, people, Balbhadra Bhattacharya and the Brahmanas, they began to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Then the Lord dancing proceeded along the path. प्रभुर प्रेम वेश देखी ब्राह्मण विस्मिता प्रभु रक्षा लागी विप्र होइला चिंतिता. The Brahman was astounded to see the symptoms of ecstatic love exhibited by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He then became anxious to give the Lord protection. Nila chale chila yaiche prema vesha mona Vṛndāvana yaite pathe hoila shata guna. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mind was absorbed in ecstatic love at Jagannath Puri. But when he passed along the road on the way to Vrindavan, that love increased 100 times. So in Jagannath Puri itself, you remember the Rath Yatra and how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was dancing in the 7 groups simultaneously, or when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was cleaning Gundicha and how everyone, this heap of dust together was much lesser than how much Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had collected. So how much ecstasy he was manifesting in Vrindavan. In Jagannath Puri, and here it is mentioned that into 100 times is what he is experiencing now in Vrindavan. Anya desha prema uchal Vrindavan name sakshat brahmaye ebe sei Vrindavane preme gar gar mana ratri divase snana bhiksha di nirvaha karena abhyase. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was elsewhere, the very name of Vrindavan was sufficient to increase his ecstatic love. Now, when he was actually traveling in the Vrindavan forest, his mind was absorbed in great ecstatic love day and night. He ate and bathed simply out of habit, abhyas. So because he was habitual, that is why he was eating. Otherwise, there was no need of him to eat or bathe or do anything, because he was constantly so deeply absorbed in Krishna Prem. Mata prema yavad brahmil baravana ekatra likhilu sarvatra nayaya varnana. Thus, I have written a description of the ecstatic love Lord Chaitanya manifested in one of the places he visited while walking through the 12 forests of Vrindavan. To describe what he experienced elsewhere would be impossible. So Krishnadas Kaviraj is saying that it is impossible to describe what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was experiencing. Vrindavane hoila prabhur yatik premer vikara Koti granthe ananta likhena tahar vistara. Lord Ananta writes millions of books elaborately describing the transformations of ecstatic love experienced by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Vrindavan. So Lord Anantadev, who has 1,000 mouths, and he is describing the glories just about the experience what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was experiencing in Vrindavan. तो बोली खिबारे नारे तारा एक खण उद्देश्य करीते करी दिग्दर्शन. Since Lord Anant himself cannot describe even a fragment of these pastimes, I am simply pointing out the direction. Jagat bhasila chaitan lilar pathire Yanrayata Shakti Tata Pathare Santare. The whole world became merged in the inundation of the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One can swim in that water to the extent that he has the strength. So such is the glories of the pastime of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Shri Rupa Raghunatha Padayarash Chaitanya Charitamrta Kahe Krishna Dasa. Praying at the lotus feet of Shri Rupa, Shri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishna Das, narrate Shri Chaitanya Charitamrta following in their footsteps. And similarly, all of us, let's pray at the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada so that we can understand, we can have some entry at least in this beautiful, ecstatic, transcendental pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, And by entering there, we develop some element of Krishna Prem, some attachment to chanting the holy names, some attachment to the holy dham. So seeking the blessings of Srila Prabhupada, we end our session today. And in the next session, we will travel, we will see the whole chapter is talking about Lord's pastimes in Vrindavan. So looking forward for the next session where we would be discussing in detail in Vrindavan. So thank you all very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And yes, not to forget, so I would personally like to invite all of you for our Vrindavan Yatra, which we are planning in October. So the Yatra dates are from 15th to 20th October, 6 days in Vrindavan. We have sent the details at the WhatsApp group. So we would be very, very happy to actually personally take you around in these places and in your association praying to Chaitanya Mahāprabhu to reveal himself and its complete ecstasy. So please do join us if it is possible. We have selected the dates that those are like the holiday time, generally the puja holidays time, the Navratri time. So looking forward to see all of you. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.